What's going on, everyone? My name's David, the woodworking accountant, and next to me I have a project that I've been working on for about 2 years, and that is the swarm trap that ruled them all. And I'm very excited to announce that this is now available to the public on infinitebcode.com. Now, this swarm trap is jam-packed full of features and solutions to problems that I've run into over the last couple years. Now, in this video, I'm going to dive deep into each one of these features and tell you why I chose it for the swarm trap that ruled them all. The first feature, and I think this is what makes this swarm trap very unique, is the ability to run 5 or 10 frames. Now, the way this works is you put your first 5 frames in, and then you slide the angle iron in up top, and then you slide your next 5 frames. Now, you don't need to run 10 frames in this. However, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that sometimes you leave the swarm trap out a little too long, or sometimes you catch a giant swarm and they are very aggressive in building out comb, and you get these giant chunks of comb built on the bottom of your frames. Now, when it comes time to transition that comb into a beehive, it is a pain. It really is. I've tried using rubber bands, I've tried fishing line, I've tried wiring it in, and oftentimes that comb ends up just going wasted. And sometimes it even has brood in it, which is unfortunate for the population of the swarm that you just caught. And so I love this ability to run either 5 or 10 frames. Now, because we have the ability to run 10 frames, I have adjusted the size of this swarm trap to be a little bit larger. Now, the sweet spot for capacity on a swarm trap is between 30 and 40 cubic liters. Now, taking into account the size that the frames take up, this lands right in the middle at 35 cubic liters with the 10 frames and foundation. And so I absolutely love that about this, and so far my results have been wonderful. Second, as we're talking about frames, these are heavy-duty frames. Each one of them is glued, stapled, and really a solid frame that's going to last you for seasons to come as you transition your frames into a hive. Now, what makes these frames really cool is they have plastic foundation, and each one of those plastic foundations is painted with beeswax. Now, if you stick your nose up to this, it just smells like the inside of a beehive. And because we know that bees are attracted to odor, which is why we use lure, I think this gives you an edge compared to running just your standard plastic foundation. And so while that is a very laborious task, the juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion. Now, the second feature that I want to highlight is the locking lid. Now, I have had 2 experiences while swarm trapping that made a locking lid an absolute necessity. The first is I have an excellent location that I catch a swarm at every year, sometimes 2, and it sits on top of a hill and catches a lot of wind. And I have had my lid blow off every season since I've been trapping there. Sometimes I'll put a rock on top. I've tried strapping it, but with these 2 screws on either side, this locks in and is solid. The second reason that a locking lid is a necessity is because last year I was transporting a swarm that I caught in my wife's SUV. I turned the corner, it spilled over, and there were bees everywhere, thousands of bees. And that level of panic that I had is indescribable. But it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. Of course, I didn't have my equipment. I didn't have a smoker. And I ended up stranded on the side of the road with thousands of bees for a little bit over an hour. And so, anyway, for those of you that don't have a truck to transport your swarms, this gives you the peace of mind that the bees are going to stay put until you get them back home to your apiary. The next feature I want to highlight on this swarm trap is the 12-foot affixed strap. Now, for those of you that have swarm trapped before, you know how big of a pain it is throwing the strap around a tree and trying to catch it. With this strap affixed to 3 sides of the swarm trap, you simply walk behind the tree, grab your straps, and hook it up. It makes the process much more easy, and for those of you that are hanging swarm traps on your own or hanging high, I believe this to be much safer. So as you'll notice on this swarm trap, I have a circular entrance disc right here on the front. However, I also have them on either side of the swarm trap, and this allows you to vent and adjust the vent on your swarm trap. Now, I usually run these with 3 to 4 holes open, but this really gives you some control. Additionally, there are some trees where an entrance on the front just does not fit. For instance, I have one spot that's a tree that V's at about eye level, and for that tree, I'm going to have my entrance on the side and just run 2 vents right here. And so this just gives you some maneuverability and allows you to make this swarm trap fit almost any tree that you come across when you're swarm trapping. Now I want to dive into what this is made out of. This is made out of 100% exterior sheeting. And this is used and intended to be used on the outside of houses. Now, as you know, swarm traps are exposed to the elements 24 hours a day for several months on end, and they take a beating. And so when we were designing this, that was one of my most important criteria, was I want this to be an excellent swarm trap this season, but I also want it to be an excellent swarm trap in 5 seasons, in 10 seasons from now. I really want this to hold up. And so this is built out of exterior sheeting. And on top of that, we are using a water-based paint. I know that's important to some beekeepers that like to avoid the oil-based paint. It's a water-based paint, but it is intended to be used on decks. And this deck paint is 6 times thicker than your standard exterior paint. It's waterproof, and again, really is going to make this hold up in the elements and last for seasons to come. And probably most importantly, it comes with bait. All you need to do is take this out of the box, put it on the tree, and voila, you are swarm trapping. Now, as I've showed this to some family and friends, they've asked me, why Infinite Bee? Why did you pick that name? And I'll tell you the story. When I first got started into beekeeping, one thing that really held me back was the cost of bees. In my area, a package of bees is going to run you around 120 bucks, and a nuke is going to cost you around 150 bucks. And unfortunately, sometimes those nukes don't survive winter, and the following year, you're left spending another $150 just to be involved in beekeeping. And that's what really attracted me to swarm trapping, is the ability to get free wild bees that had made it through the winter. You know, they had that survival stock in them, and bring them back to my apiary. And so when I think about beekeeping long term, buying packages in nukes of bees from just a cash flow standpoint makes it tough. So I would say if you're getting into this either commercially and you're looking to grow and scale your business, swarm trapping is an excellent option. If you're a hobbyist, this is also a great option for you because it allows you to hang that swarm trap up, maybe catch some of your own swarms, but also catch free bees out in the wild and bring them back to your apiary. It's a one-time cost, and it's something you can use season after season. Thanks for watching the video. If you are interested in the swarm trap that ruled them all, head on over to infinitebeeco.com and see what we have available. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck this swarm catching season.